All right, hello. Now we're going to see if this worked. We've been trying. We've done some fake broadcasts, fake streaming for the last, 22 minutes, just because I've got too many channels that I use a dummy channel to try things out on. And so let's see if this is still on a dummy channel. So I think the clue will be whether there's anyone watching. So we'll see how we go. But it is a new year, and I've said this thing 3 times now. And so, yes, there's some viewers. That must mean it's working. Hey, guys. So, yeah, Happy New Year, everybody. Sorry if you've been waiting in the background and wondering why this hasn't started yet. We've had some technical difficulties, and we're back onto it now. You can blame me. It'll be all my fault. But it is good to be here, and Happy New Year to you all. I hope you're refreshed. I hope you're healthy. I hope you're well. Yes, we've got some comments. Excellent. Awesome. So I am basically going to be here doing this every single week, hopefully not as late as this. And we're going to be doing this every week. So if you want to join in anytime. Yes, hello. It's been a long time. It's cool. It's so cool to see you guys, actually human beings out there. So if I'm looking a bit sweaty or shiny, it's probably because I've been stressing out for the last 20 minutes trying to make sure I'm going live. And now we know what we're doing. We've got some new things going on. I've got new mics and things happening. Hopefully it sounds okay. I'm going to play a little bit, but we're going to talk about some New Year's goals. And if you've got a question you want to ask me, my lovely wife, Nikita, she's on looking at the comments there. She popped things up for me to be aware of so that I can actually help you out with some awesome questions. And if you've got anything, doesn't matter how stupid it is, don't worry, just type it in and we'll do our best to try and answer that for you. So hopefully you're all well, everything's working good. Let me know if that sounds all good. Give me a thumbs up maybe. Cool. So, and I've got some exciting stuff going on this year. We've got a bunch of lessons planned that are going to be like a series. And the series is on something that is kind of, people have been asking me about, and I haven't really known how to teach it because, to be honest, there's not really a lot of information out there on how to teach it. It's just something you do. So, and that's on soloing while playing. So if I'm doing, let's say I'm playing in the key of C down here and I'm playing down the end of the guitar. And people want to know where to do the riffs like this. And so that doing that sort of thing, if that's something that interests you, well, we're going to be looking at different keys and different ways of doing riffs. How to play a riff, we're going to give you a riff to do it, where to play the riff, like what part of the bar, all that sort of stuff. So I'm going to be doing, I can do a little bit of that stuff today if that's what you're interested in. And why we do it down at the end of the guitar, because as guitarists, most of the time when I'm playing live, the nicest sound of the guitar is going to be down this end. I mean, I can play up here and do, but it limits me because all my fingers are so busy trying to play a chord shape, whereas down here I've got some 3 fingers. I can do some cool stuff down on this end as well. So that's going to be something we're going to be looking at during this year. So there's going to be a whole series coming out, probably about 8 or 10 videos outlining all that sort of stuff. So another cool thing, since you guys are all here and it's a live stream, it's the beginning of the year and it's time to set some goals. One of my great tips that I forgot about, because it's just been a while, because I've been teaching guitar online, like teaching one-on-one students. And if that sounds like something you want to do, just I think there should be a link below. Go check that out and we can book in a time. But some of the guys that I've been working with, which is all turned into good friends now, all so interested in little tips and tricks that I can help them with things like this. This is one that I found recently that I completely just rediscovered, and that is having 2 folders. I call it the 2 folders idea. Brilliant name. 2 folders is basically, you got one folder is where all the songs, all the things you're working on, that will go in that folder. Now, whether it's a clear file or a folder on your computer, doesn't really matter. So the clear file is the most awesome way, because then you can actually physically see it and feel it. So you've got a folder with the stuff you're really working on. It's got tabs in it. It's got chord charts. It's got songs with chords written above it. And each page pretty much represents a song, or maybe page or 2. And even scales and soloing and all that sort of stuff, information, that's in that folder. On the other side, you've got this other folder, which is for stuff that you've already learned. And I call it the 80% plus folder. And it's where you put your songs that you pretty much have down, like 80% down. where it's like, it doesn't have to be perfect. You could have perfect songs in there, but it's kind of like you've got it pretty good. You know, you can kind of play through it and without too much trouble. Now, the beauty of having the two folders is you're taking stuff out of the folder where you've been working on it and you're sliding it into the folder where you have it down. And so what happens is subconsciously you build up this confidence based on your song choices. And so, but not song choices, based on your stuff that you've learned. So you've got like 2 or 3 songs in this folder over here, and you go, oh, I know these 3 songs pretty well. And eventually it becomes, within a short period of time, it's usually like 10, 20 songs. You know how you go to a guitar shop, or you've ever done this, or you're at a friend's place, they've got a guitar, and they go, you play guitar, don't you? Play me something. And you're like frozen because you can't think of anything. Well, then you just think, oh, hang on, I've got this folder. It's got 15 songs in it. Oh, Hotel California. Oh, Dock of the Bay. Oh, whatever it is, Knocking on Heaven's Door, whatever song you're into, Wonderwall. You've got these songs that you can just pull out and go like, oh, I know what this is. And because you remember, I've got this big song thing going on. The other cool thing is your confidence is growing because you know as a guitar player, I know a bunch of songs. So that's a cool little tip. We'll go more into that as the year goes on. Well, we've got a question here from Klaus. Do you have practicing tips and exercises to improve your right hand to loosen it up, like a daily routine maybe? So good question. I've actually got a few little ideas for that. I don't have a daily routine because I play so much guitar. I don't have too much that I'm working on. That doesn't mean I'm awesome. It just means I'm like, I'm happy with that. So right hand. So really good thing you said there, Klaus, is about loosening it up, the right hand being loosened up. One tip I will give you, Klaus, and anyone that's thinking about your picking technique, is to relax how hard you pick. Like a lot of people, when we're picking as hard as we can. Like, hopefully that probably sounds horrendous because I just realized my levels are getting blasted there. But if you're digging too hard, you're going to get too much crack, and also you're really physically playing hard. Relax your picking and actually intentionally do some down up strokes. So if I'm playing a note like this, just say it's an open string, right? The third string. I'm just going to pick that one string. Now this is for anyone, basics to advanced. So my one string there, I'm just picking the third string. What I'll do, I've got this flash new desk now. I can lower that. Unfortunately, you'll see all the crap behind me. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a down up picking, relaxed, as quiet as you possibly can with good technique. See that? So I'm just picking down up strokes. And what you'll notice when I'm picking, by the way, my pick that would be flat, meaning the pick is completely in line with the strings. Whereas I want to angle this pick. So I've got my good picking technique here. Just a slight angle so that I can roll over that string gently. Now, if I play as quietly as I can, you might not even hear this, by the way, but I'm going to go as quietly as I can and fast as I can. And if I speed up and dig in a little bit more and then go quiet again, that's a really good technique for helping us with the right hand thing with the loosening up. So then the next step is, let's say you're doing some picking stuff for like a solo, right? Like let's say you're just picking a little riff like that. I'm just in B minor, playing in the pentatonic scale. Just a little simple little riff, that little riff idea, nice and easy. And what I'm doing is I'm doing different volumes for each note. Like quiet, strong, strong. Hear the dynamics going on in there. Whereas if I'm playing hard the whole time, no, I can't even play it. Playing it different every time, but too much in there, you're going to get too tense. And the moment you get tension, you're kind of stuffed if you do that. You can't. It's very difficult to become like a mellow guitar player at that point because you're already at that point. So it's nice to have that eventually, like at the point where it's just completely relaxed. If you are tense, just take the pick out of your hand, relax your hand, just chill for a bit, grab the pick nice and gently, and then just start playing gently again. So what I've noticed, I'm going to be doing this a lot because I got this cool desk. Do it, Des. Come on. Yes. Looks like I'm getting raised. So hopefully that helps you. So yeah, holding the pick lightly is really, really important. I've got a great student of mine, Matt Davies, who's just an amazing guitar player. I've worked with him for like 3 years now. And we just discovered this recently with his playing, that he was playing too hard. And I was like, man, I've not even noticed that until, but so he's fixed that, and what a difference. What a difference. Shrey, so your question, sometimes I play the guitar and my strumming just seems off. Other days it flows. Why? Yeah, that's a good point. I would suspect this is one thing which you're probably not going to expect me to say, but it's actually probably your foot. So your foot technique. So basically your foot or your body or your leg, it's got to keep time while you're strumming. And so what it is, you've probably learned strumming with a body that's completely motionless, you know, like this kind of thing, like, because sometimes that's how we learn. We freeze and we play. What you want to do is get your body and moving to the groove of the song. So if the song is doing this, just a basic strum, that was just a down, up, down. If I'm doing that, I want to get my foot tapping. I'm standing at the moment, so foot tapping you won't be able to see so much. Or you're going to get your body rocking, pretty much both. So you want your foot or leg or toe, something tapping with this tick-tock. So your toe will be going like this with the tick-tock. I'll do it slowly. Tick, tick, tick. So you might start slow, like, and my head, you know, my head can't help go at the same time. My head's like, come on, I want to play. And that's normal to do that. It actually looks more comfortable when you do that. You'll probably, I would say, that is the main reason that you're not having that flow. Amro, hey Mark, it's good to see you back. It's been a long time, man. My question is, let's say that some people ask me to play something. Oh yeah, good. Can you recommend the best chord progressions and how to play them? So if someone's asked you to play something, oh, you mean if you don't have a particular song, but you just want to show off some cool stuff that you play? I imagine that's what you mean by that, because otherwise you just play a song, right? You just go, oh, here's this song. One tip is this might blow some people away too, because it blew me away when I was playing guitar. I thought everyone wanted to hear the most difficult, most complex guitar piece that I've ever heard that I can play, like, you know, some sort of or I can't even play it now, but you get that sort of thing like Classical Gas or something where it's completely difficult to play. Most people don't really care. They just want to hear a song. And so if I just started playing, I don't know what's maybe Wonderwall. Everyone's smiling and having a good time. It's amazing how much you do a song that people want to hear, and you'll impress more people, unless it's someone else who's a guitar player, in which case you might want to show them something kind of cool. But to answer that question a little bit more deeply, let's go to what I like doing, because my go-to chords when I'm just picking up a guitar and I'm at a shop or something and I just want to play guitar. Usually I like playing these sort of open magic-y guitar-y chords, which is the specific term that you use in the dictionary exactly for this stuff. Open-y, beautifully stuff. And these chords, like instead of playing an E, I'll be playing like, there's another E here where I'm playing 0, 7, 9, 9, 0, 0. So there's lots of open strings. Or a chord like that, which is like 0, 11, 9, 11, 0, 0. This cool little shape. And I'll just usually just play something and play really gently and so kind of playing some open chord sounds, but up on the guitar somewhere, so I can, usually for my own benefit that I do that, because I'm just enjoying the sound of the guitar. And then I'm strumming them kind of like as best as I can. So that's what I like doing, and usually the key of E, because E is a good guitar key. Ms. Campbell, New Zealand question mark? I thought he was an Aussie. True. I have been accused by Kiwis that I am Australian. So, and I'm not to disparage any Australians out there. I've got some great mates in Australia. But no, I'm a Kiwi, New Zealander. I think what's happened is I've done YouTube stuff and I've ended up changing my accent slightly to be a little bit more like compatible. Because if I was really like my New Zealand accent, it was be more like this. This is my actual accent, how I normally talk, and this is how I normally speak when I'm talking to my wife and stuff. And then it's actually not how I speak. This is how I normally speak, but that would be a really, really horrendously awesome Kiwi accent. Meldon Cardoza. While playing, say, Thunderstruck by AC/DC, thanks for making me want to have to play that now. How light does the initial picking have to be, assuming I follow exactly as Angus plays it? So the cool thing about that is you'll notice when he does that, you want the pick to be the same volume in this case as the pull-off. So if your pull-off is soft, meaning the note when you pull off, the second note is, if it's an obvious difference, if it's like really quiet, I hope you can hear that. If I really badly pull that note off, it goes real high volume, small volume. But if I'm pulling off strong, I'm able to pick a little bit louder. So you just match the pick volume with your pull off volume. Good to go. So that way you can get the. So I'd pick quite lightly so that my pull off sounds loud enough. But this is hard with guitar, right? It's so difficult because when we play light on this hand wants to play light, and when we play strong in this hand wants to play strong. So it's very hard to go strong, relaxed. Very hard to do that, or the other way around. So that's the difficulty with guitar playing. You've got to get that nice little touch going on between the right and the left hands. Hopefully that helps when you're doing that. Until the next question comes up, I'm just going to keep doing this. I know you've been asking some questions. My wife's looking at them all now. Shrey, and how do you match your strumming to a beat, like the beat of a song? That's a great question. I get that one so much. So basically what you want to be doing is listening to the song first and just finding out where the main count of the song is. I'll give you an idea of a song. I will actually do this as a video, and I'll actually play some songs and let you listen to the groove and listen to what I'm listening to find that groove. But I'm thinking like a drummer. So whatever the drums is doing. So if the drums is just going boom, 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 might even go here. Boom, 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 boom. Maybe that's the groove, right? Boom, boom, boom. I'm just going to do let's just do a G chord. So the right hand would be going, let me get a real good view of this here for you guys. So the right hand here is going to be doing the groove, right? And so I'm just going to put my fingers over the strings. And so if I'm going doom, 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 it's probably really now, you can probably hear the sound of the grinding of the disc. So I'd literally be getting that groove with the right hand. My right hand's going to be doing downstrokes. Boom, chicka, boom, chicka, boom, chicka, boom, chicka, boom. And I'm just accenting the main part. And then dum, dum. That would give me the groove. Dum, ticka, dum, ticka, dum. So my tick-tock happens immediately. And I just try and match my tick-tock downstrokes. Just downstrokes. Dum, dum, da, dum, dum, da, dum, da, dum. And you start feeling where the downs and ups should be. Like if it goes dum, da, dum, dum, da, dum, da, dum, dum, da, which is kick, snare, kick, snare. Then you'll hear this boom, da, dum, dum, da. So I might be. For example, another song idea might be that it's doing like a 6/8 feel. It might be doing like but you won't know that till you hear it. You might hear this da 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 da. Sort of listen for something in there that's repetitive, and just dumb it down. You might hear every single thing to start with. So just dumb it down so it's real simple. Like it might just be da 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 da. So it's got the sort of strong, weak, strong, weak, weak. So you might just start with downstrokes. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. But you've noticed it's got this da thing going on, which might just be this a little down, up, down. So it might be. And you go, oh, that's what it is. And then you just settle on it. You go, okay, that's what it is for now. That becomes the default setting. Okay, and then you can muck around with it after that. Once you've done a long time playing one groove like that, maybe let's say you do it for a whole week like that, you can then add your little things to it, so you don't have to do it the same every time. So you might go. So I'm pulling out different beats. I'm adding a few extra like bits where my pick is in the strum. The rest of the time it's just laying back. But the main thing I don't stop doing is just the pulse of the 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Like that main part. That's my loudest beat, is the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So there's lots going on in that strum. I know I don't expect you just to have that like that, because there's actually a lot of chill strumming and like accents and dynamics and moving around the strings. I'm incorporating a lot of stuff, but that should help you out. All right, we've got, I'm not going to try and say your name, mate, because that'll just probably get me taken off YouTube. But please give me some tips on fingerstyle guitar. I'm just starting to learn fingerstyle. Cool. So if you're just starting to learn fingerstyle, this is going to be the biggest tip for you with fingerstyle. So fingerstyle guitar, we're not going to be thinking of classical guitar players where we have this different position. We're just normal position guitarists. So for that, we need to have our right hand, our right arm needs to be very close to the guitar. And our thumb, if you stick your thumb on the guitar as you're lying your hand on the guitar like this, in a straight line on, let's say it's on the top string here, okay, on the E string, or even the A string, one of those two. See, it's a straight line. When that picks, it's pretty much picks in a straight line. It doesn't pick like this. We don't go like that. We might have a little bit of movement, but it actually comes from here, probably further up. Actually, it's coming from like a straight line, right? Now the fingers, the other part. If you just take the thumb away for a second, just think of scratching the guitar like you're giving it a scratch, like a bit itchy. That's literally the motion we should be doing when we're playing fingerstyle. So you want to make sure that your fingers, I'm going to put my fingers in my bottom 3 strings here, okay? These bottom 3 strings. So first finger, third string, second on the second, third on the first. Confusing. And then grab those strings. Now see, my fingers are straight right now. You don't want to pick like that, because that's how classical players play, which is totally different style. For the style we want, we're going to now push your fingers right over, so they're still in contact, but they actually feel like they're actually going to be like falling off the strings almost, and the nails are getting quite close or right on the strings. Then when you've got that position, so you've got your hand looking more like this, you can actually see my fingers are all together. You want to get those fingers in position, and then your thumb on top in a straight line. What will happen is, if you're looking down, now you can't see your fingers. That's perfect. That's exactly what you want. You want those fingers to be nice and strong here, hidden away by the thumb. Now, if you can see those fingers, it's because your thumb's come back out of the way, and now my thumb is sitting way back here. That's my number 1 tip for fingerstyle, so that your thumb is in front, straight line. My palm is pretty much about to touch that string, or sitting on the strings even, so that when I'm picking, my thumb just has to do a little downstroke like this, and it doesn't come in here, it doesn't go in there, it just goes down here. It might even hit that finger. The further ahead you can get your thumb, the better, or even better, bringing those fingers back a little bit further. And then you can get a nice clear sound. And then maybe just practice by doing thumb 1, 2, 3 to start with. Now that takes a while to get used to that feeling, because you can't see it, and that's scary. If you can't see it, you're doing perfect. That's what you want to keep doing. And when you play a different bass note, just go to your thumb, actually picks out that bass note. And your thumb is generally going to only be playing 3 strings, 1, 2, 3. And then right hand wise, these fingers, it doesn't, as a rule, it doesn't have to be those 3 strings. It can be these 3 strings above. You might be a guy that or a girl that only wants to play with 2 fingers, like that, not with the 3rd finger, and you can figure out a way of doing that. John Mayer is a great example of a person who doesn't really use their 3rd finger much. They usually use just the 1 thumb and first 2 fingers, and they've gotten away with that. Travis picking you can do with 2 fingers and a thumb, which is what I was just doing there. my next tip would be to learn that Travis picking pattern. Simon, how much did you work on your great vocals in terms of structured practice? I wonder how much singing comes naturally and how much is methodically trained like your guitar must be. Oh, cool. Well, thanks for the compliment, mate. So I was actually not a trained singer at all when I started singing, but I could sing, meaning I could sing in tune. So I'm just bringing you guys are all, or I'm syncing at the moment down into my basement. So for singing, the thing that I was really lucky was I was already doing gigs. I was playing in bands, so I got to sing a lot because I was playing in those things. I hardly ever practiced because I'm not the guy that sings around the house. My wife is. My wife will sing around the house if she's in a good mood. She'll be around the house singing all the time because she's a singer. She's a real singer. And I've developed my voice purely because of all the gigs I've done. And there's literally thousands of gigs. I'm 48 now. So I've done a few pubs and bars and weddings and functions, which have been awesome. And the odd festival, the odd big event. So now my voice is pretty much matured thanks to that. I did have some training at one point, and the guy helped me discover my diaphragm voice, if you call it that. So singing from the diaphragm. And what that enabled me to do is not sing from my throat, which I was doing. I've got a low voice naturally, and so I like singing down here and with for some reason, country sound. And I would always sing like here. I'd always sing here. And because every song I sang when I was growing up at 80s, 90s, Skid Row, Axl Rose, it was like Air Supply, it was like Chicago, everything was like up there. So I just thought, I can't sing. In actual fact, I'm a baritone, so my lower voice was where I needed to hang out more. So in fact, working on vocals for me was trying to discover my voice in that range and using my diaphragm. And then I noticed I could get more notes. And the other thing I did, if you ever got the same problem, I just rearranged songs so that I could put them in a place that I could sing them comfortably without destroying my voice, trying to sing the high notes, because I just can't do those high notes. So hopefully that helps. But I'd recommend getting a vocal coach, and because they can see as soon as you sing whereabouts you're singing and what's going on, how you're standing, how you're breathing, where you're phrasing, to help you with your singing. So I'd recommend getting in touch with someone. I've got a good friend, Trudy Wilson, who does online lessons. So Trudy Wilson, I'm not sure, we might be able to put a link in this here for you if she's wanting to, another Kiwi, and she's an awesome, we play in a band together, and she's incredibly gifted teacher as well. So Meldon Cardoza, hey Mark, what's your biggest guilty pleasure on the guitar, and do you jam with the missus, the guitar guy, on the guitar? We do actually do that. We need to do it more. But so my guilty pleasure on the guitar, probably my guilty pleasure, it's a great question, man, would be, I love playing electric guitar because I don't do it enough. I teach mostly on acoustic, and I play a lot of acoustic stuff when I do live stuff by myself with my wife. But I grew up as an electric guitar player, playing, soloing, and trying to play interesting solos and jamming and improvising interesting note choices. So my guilty pleasure is going and finding a backing track on YouTube that I like, chucking the guitar on, usually with distortion and drive, because I want to hear that crunch and distortion, because I grew up listening to Metallica and Joe Satriani and Steve Vai and Eddie Van Halen and Yngwie Malmsteen. Who else? Stevie Ray Vaughan, Jimi Hendrix on my arm. That one there. So I just become a kid and play all the stuff that I would love to hear, which I don't know if everyone else would like to hear, because it's kind of note choices and things that I would do please and excite me because of the stuff I've listened to. Whereas, and so I'll give you a little example, I suppose. Let's say the song was just playing an A sus chord, and then let's say I did a D with a G bass. Those were the chords. So I'll play that. So I'll be doing stuff like that would interest me. My ear is hearing notes within the chord that I want to grab, and And I'm not, I don't know if any of you guys would ever want to hear that, but I try and do a little bit of that on my Instagram stuff, just to show you what I quite enjoy. But that's a real cool question. Really like that. Something really unique. Ms. Campbell, I've just changed strings on my guitars from 11s to 13s. Is the extra thickness really worth it in your opinion? I'm thinking of going back to 11s or persevering. So that's a really common, great question. Thanks for that, Ms. Campbell. That is actually one of the most common questions I get with my students when I'm coaching them. So thicker strings will give you more volume and a little bit more pushback on the picking and strumming aspect as well. So when you put thicker strings on your guitar, what you've got to be aware of, your guitar might be set up for 11s, and then you put 13s on there. You'll notice the action. It's harder to play to start with because it's thicker strings, right? But you'll notice the action, meaning the guitar is being bent out slightly. You won't see it, but you'll feel it because you'll have to push down further, which means the action is high on your strings. So now you've got to really push down to get those notes on. Unless the strings were buzzing before on the strings you had on the guitar, and now this is put perfectly in line, which could potentially happen too. But it's more than likely you'll need to reset the guitar neck up. So that's just because there's a truss rod that goes down the guitar. Inside here, there's a steel rod, and when you tighten the rod, it goes clockwise, it pulls the neck back. When you loosen it, it lets the neck fall forward. And so it's designed that way to make adjustments. So with the new strings, I would totally be getting it reset up to see if you like it. You might actually like it, but your fingers will take a little bit more, like they will hurt for a couple of days as they're recalibrating to this new thickness of string. But definitely get your guitar set up anyway. I recommend that to everybody, by the way, because I'm glad you brought this up, because this guitar here, for example, when this is my wife's guitar, when we got this guitar, it was beautifully set up. We chucked some new strings on it and it started buzzing and making some noises because I put too light a gauge on it. And then when I tuned to different tunings, sometimes it would do the same thing. So I'd have to take it back. Because this particular guitar, I don't have the tool to get in there and adjust the neck in here. So that's a great question. I always make sure if I'm not happy with how my guitar feels, I take it to a professional and just say, can you lower the action? And then it's nice if they do it in front of you, because then you can try it and go, yeah, no, go further. If it goes too low, which a lot of people do, you can get a lot of buzzing. So you get a lot of this sort of, that buzzing noise. I'm just intentionally making that noise. This guitar might have a buzz. There's a slight buzz here because it's right on the edge of, because I like my guitar action super low, because I'm doing gigs sometimes for 3 or 4 hours, and I want to be able to play during the whole time without getting too much pressure on my hands. So yeah, hopefully that answers your question. But I recommend everybody goes out there and gets their guitar set up properly. Just go to a guitar store or wherever you got your instrument from and see if they can do that for you. Cool. Hey, Mark, learned about hammer-ons and pull-offs, but how can I apply them to my chords? Great question. These are good questions. Well, I think my wife's just choosing the coolest ones that she knows I'll like, and staying away from the ones I can't answer because I'm not clever enough. So Gideon, hammer-ons and pull-offs. So while you're applying them to your chords, this is really cool. So the most common one that we all do is, you might have heard, was with the D chord. So I'm playing a D chord here. The bottom string is usually a cool one that we like to, actually probably little finger as well. That'll be another real common one. So let's do that one first. So we've got a D chord. We're going to hammer on this little finger onto the 3rd fret, right? So I would just practice by just playing a D chord and then hammering that little finger. So hammer on, if you don't already know, it's just it's the speed and the firmness of hammering that 3rd finger onto the fret that we're trying to get. So I'm going from a D chord and I'm just hammering on to this little note here, from here to here. Now this 2nd finger doesn't have to move, doesn't have to come off in this point. And so what I would be doing is just getting used to playing a strumming pattern, like let's say, right, just doing something like this. And then on a downstroke, start by doing it on a downstroke, maybe on the 1st beat. You hammer it on and let it be part of your TikTok. So what you want to do is, if I'm going, my upstroke, I miss the strings, right? But that's where I would put the hammer on. Even though you can't, I'm not going, it looks like I'm strumming both, but it's just a, I'm just hammering that on. What's the best angle? That one there. I will get multiple cameras at some point too, but I'll just deal with this for now. So little finger hammering on right there. So I'd just start with one idea and one chord and get used to putting a hammer on in there. And it might be on the first beat. So pull-offs, I don't do as much with guitar chords playing, but I usually like the hammer-ons and just take the finger off and play it. So I might be like that. So I'm hammering on and then just take it off and make it part of the strum. You could pull it off and you'd practice that on the one as well. So you just try going, as soon as you do a downstroke, if you do too many of them, it's going to hurt. Like mine is hurting right now because I haven't been playing that much in the last few weeks. So that's just one chord, and we'll stick with one chord for a while, because what we all tend to do is we try to play hammer-ons on 1,000 chords and we don't remember any of them because they're not calibrated, they're not programmed into the subconscious. So you want to spend a little bit of time before you move on to a new chord and put another hammer on it, and then try putting it in different spots. Craig Doss, hi Mark, can you show us how you learn to put licks and little lead lines interspersed into your rhythm play? So great question, Craig. So Craig, you're funny, in America that they tend to say Craig. It sounds like Craig to me. Okay, Craig. I would say Craig from New Zealand. That's how I would say it if you were from New Zealand. So Craig, I'm actually doing a whole series on this. So stay tuned because we're going to start filming it this week and starting to put some of these ideas in mind. I'll give you a little example, and we'll just do one example here. So let's say I'm playing the key of C, right? The key of C is going to be C, D minor, E minor, F, G, A minor. I would do G with a B bass, and then back to C. So that gives you all the chords in a key. The reason I'm doing it this way, and this is why I'm going to show you in the lessons, if we're in a key, we might as well learn all the chords within that key while we're learning it, and then try to put a riff in against every chord in that same space. So the example I would give is something like this riff here. So this is I know that riff works. So they've got the scale within the key of C, which I'll also show you in the lessons. There's a riff here, which is a hammer on the 4th string, and then playing an open G string, right, which is the 3rd string. 2 downstrokes, that's all it is. And so you would place that on the 4th beat. So this is quite interesting too. I realized that all riffs are generally on the 4th beat. So to give you an example, 1, 2, 3. So I'd literally do that. Let's say that was the strum. I'm just doing a ballad strum, dum, ticka, dum, dum, ticka, dum, dum. And that last strum is where I do the riff. Get used to doing it every bar on a one chord. Okay, and then you might choose another chord and go from C to an F. Well, that's probably a hard. Yeah, let's do C to F. You guys are tough. You guys are my students. You guys know how to play F. So we're going C, F. So you leave the chord and play. So normally the strum would be 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. But on that 4th beat, we're going to do the riff. Just do one riff and try a different A minor. So you'll notice you'll do the riff and land on a new chord. So that's where we do the riff. So you're figuring out where to play the riffs, what is the riff, what's the key of the riff, and why we do it in open position like this. The other reason is because this is where we play all our guitar. We always play most of our stuff down the end. If I'm in the key of G, I'm usually playing good old-fashioned G, and I'm staying in that kind of area. I'm not trying to be, I'm not, you know, if I do that, I'm going to run out of fingers. And so down here, if I'm playing down here by myself, two, three, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. And you're just adding a few riffs into our repertoire, which I'll show you how to do in the series that's coming up. And we're going to cover all the main riffs, okay? Let's have a go at this name. Rajesh Gumba. I'm sorry, Rajesh. I'm sorry if I get that wrong. Hi, Mark. In some of your recent videos, you've been doing some great guitar soloing. Well, thank you very much. Always good to start with a compliment. Do you plan to do a detail lesson on the soloing techniques, as that's an area of interest? Thank you. It's one of my favorite things to teach is to do soloing. So I'm glad you asked that question, and that means I'm definitely going to be doing lots of that stuff. I've figured out there's about 5 ways you can approach teaching soloing, and that's the frustrating thing. You go on YouTube and want to learn soloing, and one person's teaching about pentatonic scales, and you should only be doing those. And someone else says, no, you should be doing the caged system. You need to be learning that. And someone else will come back another way. No, you need to learn the theory and learn all the notes and all the notes within that scale. And each one of them work. You've just got to decide on one and then maybe start with one and then figure out another way of looking at it. So you're able to look at it from a bunch of different angles, and then you can solo. And so, yes, I will be doing that. And I'm going to make it so simple that if you've never soloed in your life, you've never played a scale in your life, that you will be able to play a solo immediately. So that's what I'll be doing for you. And if any of you guys are looking at with these questions, by the way, are keen to catch up with me and do a lesson, you can totally do that. Just going to click on there's probably a link there where you go to Mark the Guitar Guy on my Facebook page, and you can click book now and you can book a session. Because a lot of times there'll be one little thing you're doing wrong that I can just analyze and be like, oh, you just hold the pick slightly differently, and boom, you're a different guitar player. Or it's usually one thing for every student that is going on, or 1 or 2 things that I can help you out with. We'll keep it going here because I was going to do half an hour, but I'm feeling great. And if you guys are having fun, we'll keep it going. Melvin Cardoza, since you got Jimi Hendrix on your arm, play a bit of Jimmy on an acoustic. Pretty rough to do that, but let's try a little bit of Little Wing maybe. Let's give it a go. Let's just change the view too, so you're not looking at my big head. You can get a bit of guitar playing going on in this. So let's do a little bit of Little Wing intro, and I'll do an acoustic version of that. So it won't be quite be as stratty. And each week I'm going to change. I'm going to be doing like electric stuff one week and guitar stuff another week, but I don't want to mess around too much with different instruments because it'll waste your time. But here we go. So Little Wing. There we go. I could have sung a little bit, I suppose, but hopefully that's all right for you, Melvin. I'm going to bring it back up now. Any tips for transitioning from open to bar chords without it sounding a little off, like D to B minor? Oh, I love that. So specific. This is good. Let's go back up again just to change the view up a little bit. So transitioning from open to bar chords. So what happens a lot of times is either our bar chord is sounding a bit average, right? You know, sometimes your bar chord is a bit like, it's not as good sounding. But like D to B minor is a great example of that. Here's my D, here's my B minor, right? So the first thing I would do is make sure that those chords are sounding good and you're changing quick enough, because that's going to be the first issue. But it doesn't have to be splits, like millisecond change. It doesn't have to be that good. You've got a beat or two with the strumming arm before you need to change. So, but the first thing is just doing a pressing technique and just going. I've invented this whole concept, by the way, but it works really well. So you've got the pressing, you've got the D chord, and then you want to form the B minor. Usually what happens with my students, and with me this used to happen as well, when we form a B minor, most of us learn B minor first finger, second finger, third, like 1, 2, 3, 4, right? That's not helpful, because to do a B minor chord in a hurry, that doesn't work very well. what you want to do, especially like let's say D to B minor. Here's my D. I want to figure out where my second finger goes, which is going to be right here on the second string, 3rd fret. So there's my D chord. My 3rd finger is currently on that note. Then I want to switch it to my 2nd finger and then build my chord with my low thumb to get my B minor. And I would literally train that for like a minute. In a minute, you could probably do 20 or 30 of those. So here's 1, 2. Just like that. Here's my D, and I press, and I take, relax, get my 2nd finger in position. High position, by the way. That 2nd finger right up against that fret, like almost falling over. Right up against it, form my chord. D, and then form my chord. D, 2nd finger, form my chord. So then I'll do a 1 strum. D, 2nd finger, form the chord. D, 2nd finger, form the chord. Eventually, that'll land all together. Believe it or not, that will happen if you just keep going with that little concept. So I've got a quick B minor D change going on there. But let's say the strum is like this. That's what we're wanting to do. Just a rock strum. Down, up, down. So we're going from D. What you need to do is leave early to get there on time to form a nice chord. And the sound will improve as you get better at playing that chord pretty much, okay? So, because otherwise that's going to sound great, that chord, and then you're going to get there and it's probably might be like, you get that little, especially this finger here, right? This finger, where's the camera? This finger here is like, see how far away it is from down? It should be real further up, like there. But if it's down here, it's going to sound a bit average. So yeah, I'll just be doing the pressing technique for that. And then with the strumming side of things, when you learn whatever song it is, like whatever strum, I'd leave as soon as the 4th beat's played, or even skip it out. So it'd be 1, 2, 3, 4. I'd get, because my aim is to get there on time. My most important thing is to get to the chord on time, and I sacrifice the back end of the bar, if you know what I mean. Otherwise, you'll end up sacrificing the front end. It'll sound like this. Can you hear that horrible jerkiness? And I'd rather sacrifice the back end and not have a chord at the back end. Go. Go. And eventually just get that gap at the end smaller and smaller so you don't notice such a change. And the other thing is, you notice I did it then, is an open strum of nothing. I just dropped my pick. Oh, yeah, there it is. So I'm literally strumming nothing while I'm preparing my chord. I'm not taking my hand off like this, but I'm showing you that. Let's have a listen. I'm really pulling it out there. Can you hear that? Now that sounds horrible to us guitarists as we're doing it, but to the listener, I just speed it up a little bit. Hardly notice it. Sounds fine. It sounds like part of the strums. It sounds like it's da do do. So yeah, you'll notice. Eric Clapton does that. Like all the top dudes in the world that are guitar players do that when we play chords. This is not. We don't have this miraculous thing where we amazingly change. Well, at least the ones that I know about. I'm hoping they don't, because that's how I've been doing it. So Danny Mover. Hopefully I'm pronouncing it right. Which comes first, lyrics or music? So I guess the question with that is, you mean writing songs? Because that could be both. I guess that puts that out of the way. Either way, depending on how the song shows up, it could just come from where your inspiration comes from, whether it's from the lyrics or it's from the music. If you're learning a song, though, if you're playing a song and you're actually wanting to learn how to play a cover song, I would learn the chords first as a guitarist, and then I'd figure out where those chords go. And so you'd be, so let's say I'm playing Happy Birthday to You. Let's say Happy Birthday to you. So that sort of thing, I'd be learning the chords first, and then where the chords belong on the words. And I'd figure out happy, and then birthday is where the C goes. Happy birthday to you. Ah, cool. You is the G. Cool. Happy birthday. Birthday is the G. To you. That kind of thing. And so figuring out where they belong. But I would get the rhythm, right hand strumming going on, especially for learning a song. Get the groove down, get your body moving, and that'll help you to place where the words go, because you'll notice a word will land on a downbeat where you're physically down, and a word might land on an upbeat, like a, and I am going to the store tomorrow to get. You might notice there's this place where the word belongs. That are real weird. I look like a cockatoo. There's some Australian friends out. But that'll help you figure out where it goes. John Mo. Hi, Mark. Quick question. Is there any way to always understand what chord you're playing in the context of a key? I'm having trouble creating chord progressions out of scales. So if you're creating chord progressions out of scales, you mean out of a scale, so all the chords within a key, I'm imagining, John Mo. So if I was to play, and I used the key of C before, where I had C, D minor, E minor, F, G, A minor. I use G with a bass instead of the diminished version, and C. Excuse me. So if you're wanting to understand the context of the key, what I would do is start from, let's say the main is the key of C, right? I'm just going to help me with this. C, and I would do this. I'd write it out in front of you. C, D minor, E minor. I just know what they are. F, G, A minor, G with a B bass. I'd write them in a line. And so I'd literally got them written down in front of me here. There's a bit of paper. I don't know if you can see that. So I've got it written down there. So I would have it written out like that. And then I would number them. So literally 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I wrote 6. Looks really weird by 6. But now you'll be looking at my 6. Oh, come on, camera. You can do it. Come back. There we go. See, I've numbered them. And so what I would do is I'd start going to train the subconscious on these things, which is what we really want it to do. I'd be going C as my foundation chord, number 1, and then I go to the next chord, D minor, and then back to C. And I'll be thinking 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, and then I go to 3, which is the E minor, right? So I'd be going 1, 3, 1, 3. So I've skipped out the 2 here. So I've gone from C to an E minor. That's my 1, that's my 3. And then I'd try going 1, 2, 1, 3. So in a 1, 2, 1, 3. And you start getting used to the intervals between each of those chords. This is one way to do it, by the way. And you'll notice after a while, you start to hear numbers instead of chord names, but your subconscious already will know what that, and whatever key it is. This is one key, right? We've only done one. There's like 5 keys you probably want to learn. But this is the best way I've found. And that way I can always I think it's going to be a 5. I think it goes to a 5. And then that's the 5 chord. That literally is, when you hear people saying, oh, it's a 1, 4, 5 progression. In that case, it's a C, F, G. It's a 1, 4, 5. It's a C, F, G. And that's a kind of a cool thing to figure out. So if you're having trouble with any of these things, any of you guys, by the way, are interested by this stuff, you're welcome to come and get in touch. I've got a big old free diary at the beginning of the year. So if you're looking at having scheduling some lessons, you don't have to be locked into anything. It's just like we can just do a one-on-one once. We can do it regularly, up to you. The most impressive students usually have like a weekly thing going on. It's not overly expensive, I don't think, depending on what part of the world you are with the exchange rate, because it's New Zealand dollars. It's all done online. It's all very easy to do. So don't be afraid to book in, and we can do that just on Skype, or usually Skype's what we do, just because it's a nice, easy way to do it. And we record it too, which is cool. Craig Doss, any tips on how to use double stops, especially as part of playing rhythm on the 4th beat, etc.? So part of that, that's cool. You've understood what we just talked about with the riff sort of stuff. Double stops. I'd have to look into that one, man. I haven't got anything off the top of my head. I could say something, but I don't know if it would exactly help you. So I'd probably have to have a think about that. But it's another good question. But Craig, you need to get in touch for a lesson, because I could actually specifically see what you're doing and what you're trying to do, and we could work on it together, which would be kind of easy. Gideon, hey Mark, I've been too stuck with basic open chords and bar chords. How can I incorporate other kinds of chords into my playing, e.g. sevenths, sus, major 7? Really good question. Really good question. So what's really nice is when you learn a song and you figure out it's got a major 7 in it, and there's a basic version of it where it might be like, we'll keep doing C. Here's my C chord. Basic version's got a C in it, but the C major 7 which is just I'm just doing a full C here. So these are my basic C here, right? 3 fingers. Lifting my first finger off gives me a C major 7. And you figure out, sometimes we can add that into our playing. So even a song that wouldn't have that written in, I would sometimes put that in as an alternative. And what I would do is just go learn one chord that's got an interesting change in it like that. Okay, so let's say it's C with that little finger, or so first finger off. And let's say it's a simple song like I'm always thinking of songs that have already got it in it. But let's say that song. Let's say it's Better Be Home Soon as an example. Somewhere deep inside, some things gotta hold on. So I could put it inside there. See, I did it in the A minor as well. You can kind of see this thing. You start to try and put it in on a certain beat and just experiment, and you'll find something that works. And once you've found it, you can give it a bit more of a go. And that was a major 7 example. You don't have to learn them all. Look, the worst thing you can do is learn every option and go, all right, I'm going to learn a C major 7, C sus, a C 7th. You're going to forget it. What you want to do is to start with a basic chord and then implement it into your playing in one song to start with. Or yeah, it's the best way to do it. And don't try and do every single chord. Like I've got to do the major 7 for the C, the G, the F. Start with one chord and incorporate it. And I like the on-off aspect, as in it's there and it's off. Or you're moving between the two, not necessarily just going, I'm only going to play a C major 7 for this bar. Because it would sound weird if I played that song somewhere deep inside. It's okay, but it really changes the song a little bit if I do it the whole way through that particular song. So you'll find it's kind of nice to be able to bring it in and out. I call it awesomizing. So anything in my channel that's awesomizing, it's usually doing that kind of thing. I'm just finger off and on, and it sounds cool, like a best angle. That was just a D with a finger off and on the bottom string, right? And then I went to an A minor 7, which is an A minor 7. It's just an A minor with the third finger taken off. And I even took the first finger off at one point. So I only had one. So I had this sound going. So I like incorporating it like that because it's more interesting to me that a bar of a chord has a little bit of movement and it starts saying its own thing as well inside that chord. So most of the students I work with on this stuff, to be honest, they usually lack confidence with that. It's just a thing where they go, oh, I don't really want to, I want you to show me where it should go. And I'm like, no, just try it. And if it doesn't work, or you don't like it that much, we'll just try another place the next time. It's no big deal. No one's going to drop dead in the street because you didn't play the right note at the right time exactly. And so you've got to allow yourself to make a few weird sounding things to make the awesome sounding thing. So hopefully that makes some sense. And it's coming up to an hour. So I hope you guys, oh, nice, Matt Davies. Good to see you there, brother. This is real cool to see you guys and connect with you guys again, or see you. I can't technically see you. Maybe I can. I'm going to be doing this every week, probably a bit earlier, because we did take a long time to figure out how to do this, and that was mostly my fault. So next time will probably be a little bit earlier. Let me know if there is something you want me to do. Join in, tell people about it. I imagine, as I'm hoping as the year goes on, that this becomes bigger and bigger, and we're able to do more and more each time. If you want to get a lesson, come and get in touch with me. Matt Davies, one of the dudes there that he's been with me the longest. When I first started doing this, there you are, brother. Matt Davies. He's in England, in London, and he was in lockdown. It's before lockdown, actually, we started doing lessons. Back when I was teaching from Thailand. Lolo, so good. Thank you so much. That's really cool. I'm hoping that's helping a lot. Nice. Meldon, cheers, buddy. So, Matt's actually been with me this such a long time, and we've actually walked through this whole guitar journey together in the last 3 years, and we became buddies pretty quick, right, Matt? And so we spent a lot of time just hanging out, jamming, and having a laugh. He's got a cool, beautiful family over there in London, and unfortunately locked down for a long time. So, but we got to hang out all that time doing Skype lessons, and his playing is, man, he's good. He's good now. 4 years of lessons. Oh, there you go. Cheers, Matt. 4 years of lessons. I didn't realize we never count those extra years, do we, Matt? So yeah, if you want to become one of my friends that I end up catching up with, then that'll be awesome. Don't be afraid to book a lesson. I'm not scary. It's a lot of fun. We have a lot of fun. It'd be cool to get to know you. And it's one of my passions in life is to help people be better. It gets me fizzed up and makes my day awesome if I can do that. So hopefully you guys have had fun, and I will look forward to seeing you guys next week. You guys have a great week, and come see me next time. All right. We'll see you later.